How to treat men as self-care. Treat dating like it's part of your wellness routine. You can find the full essay on Substack at 719 Style. What if self-care wasn't something you scheduled, but a standard of how life feels? Women have been sold a strange story about relationships, that they should be confusing, hard work, emotionally consuming, a little chaotic, a little uncertain, a place where you perform, prove, impress, endure, and hope to be chosen. Meanwhile, self-care is sold to us as the opposite. So mornings, facials, spa days, long baths, silk robes, skincare rituals, massages, candles, teas. But what if we separated something that was never meant to be separate? Because self-care is not really the candle. It's not the bath. It's not the expensive serum lined up on your bathroom counter. Those are props. Self-care is the feeling. It is care of self. Self-care is what happens in your body. It's the exhale. It's taking off the makeup. It's unhooking the bra, stepping out of the performance, wrapping yourself in a robe, running hot water, letting your shoulders drop, receiving the massage, closing your eyes, softening. Self-care says you do not need to perform here. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to anticipate someone else's needs. You don't need to audition for love. You simply get to be. And if that's true, why would relationships be exempt? What if men were part of your self-care? Now stay with me. Not because men are products, not because relationships complete you, not because women need partnership to feel fulfilled, but because relationships are part of life. And if self-care is truly care for the self, not a compartmentalized event between 7 and 8:30 p.m. with a jade roller, then shouldn't the people closest to you affect whether your life feels nourishing? Because here's what happens when women compartmentalize self-care. We think self-care happens in the bathroom, at the spa, on vacation, at brunch, during a me day. But then tolerate relationships that leave us anxious, hypervigilant, emotionally depleted, performing, confused, and disconnected from our bodies. That's not self-care. That's self-abandonment with good lighting. So here's the actual question. Does this feel like self-care? Not, does he like me? Not, where is this going? Not, could this become marriage? Not, why hasn't he texted? But instead, does this feel like self-care? And what does self-care feel like? Self-care feels easeful, relaxed, present, nourishing, luxurious, safe, unhurried, soft, grounded, decadent even. Self-care feels more than enoughness. So ask yourself, do I feel rushed around him? Or do I feel like I can take my time? Do I feel at ease? Or am I managing tension in my body? Am I present? Or am I mentally 5 years ahead, planning a wedding with a man whose last name I barely know? Do I soften or do I brace? Do I feel safe emotionally, energetically, physically? Can I receive? Can I receive a compliment, attention, care, presence? Or am I always the one performing? Do I feel like myself or a version of myself trying to be chosen? Do I leave feeling fuller or emptier? Because when you're receiving a massage, your body tells you when the room is too cold, you know. When the pressure is too much, you know. When something feels nourishing, your body knows. Why do we suddenly stop trusting that intelligence with men? I recently came across a woman sharing that she felt deeply unfulfilled, not because her career had failed, but because she had poured so much energy into one part of her life that there was little room left for nourishment elsewhere. She was speaking specifically about romantic partnership. She also shared that she stayed in relationships that did not serve her way too long. My immediate thought was, that makes sense because nourishment matters. Friendship can be self care. Beautiful dinners can be self care. Family can be self care. Solitude can be self care. Art can be self care. A slow Sunday can be self care. And yes, men can absolutely be self care. Because self care is not about being alone or in a bathroom with a face mask on. It's about how life feels in relationship to yourself. Care of self. Women stay in relationships far too long because they've been taught to override their bodies, to rationalize, to hope, to wait, to perform, to project potential onto men who currently feel awful. Meanwhile, their body has already answered. The tight chest, the anxious checking, the emotional exhaustion, the inability to relax, the constant confusion. That is not self care. In fact, I would argue it is the opposite. And if you started seeing dating through the lens of self care, your standards and boundaries would change overnight. Not because you became harder, because you became more attuned. You would stop asking, how do I make this work? And start asking, why am I calling something love that doesn't even feel like self care?